Hello, welcome to week 12 of the app and game LOOC. Came a long way if you're still watching these videos, and I'd like to congratulate everyone for exactly how far you've come. We've got quite a bit to talk about today, but it's going to be a short kind of day. Basically, I'm just going to go over a couple different project examples. I'm going to talk about the final project, the app project, and show you guys a few more things about Xamarin. So, again, congrats on getting this far. What you'll want to do is finish up your projects on time and turn those in by the due dates. We've got a schedule up under getting started. If you go over here, there is a course schedule posted, and basically the app mini project is already due tonight at 11:59 p.m. Also, 10 days from now will be the app project 1, which will be due, and I'll be talking about that a little bit more today. So we're going to be showing the GL Cube today, as well as a dictionary app that I've got created to show off to you, and a few other things. I'm actually recording this video for you live from Human Head Studios. Human Head is the creator of Prey and Prey 2, as well as Rune and Batman Arkham Origins. We actually helped create Batman Arkham Origins. The next big thing we're doing is a product called Minimum. Minimum is on Steam and available now for beta. This is what I'm going to be working on this summer. It is quite similar to, it's kind of like Minecraft meets Call of Duty in a way. It should be a lot of fun to work on this over the course of the summer. Just kind of let you watch this. You can craft your own armor, you can craft your own guns. Armor Up. It's a PvP, team-based game. Pretty soon these huge titans will come in and just wreck everything pretty much. I wasn't able to say what I was working on earlier, but now I can announce it and let you guys know that this is indeed the next game that I'm going to be working on with Human Head. You can get that now on Steam. So enough of the plugs. That's where we are, Human Head, right there. So that is that. And basically, next up, I need to show you some Xamarin stuff. So as I said, I'm recording on location from Human Head Studios. So going to be some shorter sort of videos today, just enough to go over some basic things with OpenGL Cube, as well as the searchable dictionary. Since I've already got it up, I'm going to start out with the searchable dictionary app. Searchable dictionary app is something that I've customized from Xamarin, and I basically customized it so that if you type in the dictionary field here, for example, you can type in debacle and it'll find the entry for debacle and give you the spelling of that there. Paid. Looks like paid does not exist. So what we can do, since that doesn't exist, is we can add it. We can say paid means to maybe something like past participle of pay, and now I can hit commit, and it adds that to the dictionary. So the next time I type in paid, it actually comes up with the past participle of paid. So that is the basic app that I've created. I got some, huge help on this from Xamarin. Basically, if you go to Xamarin, Xamarin site, there's a whole lot of sample applications that you can download, and I really encourage you to do this for your app project. Basically, the thing that I encourage you to do is go to the samples page and just start looking through all of these. Of course, what you're going to have to do for the project is to customize these like I've done. But it shouldn't be too much of a problem to customize them. I'm going to go over the customization that I did today with the dictionary. So this is running, I think, Android Galaxy Nexus with version 14. So you'll want version 14 in your AVD if you're going to follow along with this using Platform 4.0, API level 14. That should give you enough to go on there. So once you've got the searchable dictionary downloaded from the Xamarin site, you should start to go through this and see what's really going on here. I'll tell you the key of everything in here is there's a definitions.txt text file which has all the definitions of the dictionary that are in the dictionary. And there's three key layouts, one being the main, where you type in the word that you're going to be looking at, another one being the resulting layout, and then the word definition itself, of which these are added to dynamically, of course. So Android Manifest is telling us that minimum Android version is API 11. Not too much else going on there. This is a very basic app. It's actually a little bit less complicated than some of the ones we looked at in week 11. What I did to kind of decipher this was I first started out looking for the no results string name, because I decided that I wanted to be able to have you add a word if you don't get any results. So I did a find and replace, or find in files on no results, and I found that references back to a couple places: the searchable dictionary CS file, as well as the resource designer, which is basically just a collection of all the things that have been defined. The main driving files behind this are the dictionary database CS file, the dictionary provider, and the searchable dictionary CS, as well as the word activity CS. So each one of these is basically powering the dictionary as we run along here. Now, dictionary database, let's take a look at this. This is actually powering up the database and opening it up. So what you want to pay particular attention to is the database name, which is just dictionary. All of these are statics. Now, what statics are is, as Professor Bresnay has covered before in class, statics means that of every instance of this class that exists, there's only going to be one version of the static that exists. So the database name, there's only going to basically be one database for this entire application, which is fine. Changes that I've made include this one, where I changed the database open helper to static as well. Everything else was static, so I figured the database open helper might as well be static, which allows us to add a function here underneath the constructor. This is the dictionary database constructor, which we say new dictionary open helper, and we create this open helper. But then in add word, I've added basically the functionality to add a word using a string for the word and a string for the definition. And then I just say database open helper dot add word, and what you can do is you can type in database open helper, and it actually gives you the add word as something that you can call upon, and you send in the word and the definition there. Build column map is actually building a dictionary. So what a dictionary is in C# is basically, we also call this a map in C++ sometimes. It basically binds one thing to another. So this string is going to this string. So this word is going to a definition, basically. And the word going to the definition is going to be defined in this build column map. This is going to give us all our rows and all our columns of our database. Get word basically returns the it takes the row ID and all the columns that are there, and it does a query on that. So queries on that entire word for us, just running a return query. And if we're not sure about that, we can just open this up, doing a right click, and I get to the query function, which basically takes a selection, which is the word, any particular arguments, and the columns that are in question. This actually uses something called SQL. Some people pronounce it SQL. I prefer SQL. There's a huge debate on what the right way to pronounce it is. I've heard more people at the UW-Madison campus call it SQL, but here at UWGB, a lot of people call it SQL. I prefer SQL. Anyway, it's a database. The most recent trends in database technology involve NoSQL databases. This one is actually just a very small database. It's a query builder system, which is included with Xamarin, and it basically allows you to create a set of tables. This is a virtual table that we can do some querying on, and a projection map in the form of this column map. And we can then do a query on this readable database with this selection, these selection args, and that will allow us to return whatever is at that current location. So in other words, if there is something at that selection name, so if I type in LOOC, for example, or paid, or debacle like I did earlier in the demo, it would return, it would do a query on that data and return it for us. So going back to the top here, we have get word matches, which is as well as returning a query. We have the query itself, which we just looked at. We have open helper, which is an SQLite open helper, and this is what allows us to do our creation of our dictionary. Basically, we create these virtual tables inside the dictionary, inside the SQL, and we use a certain format for that called FTS3, and that provides us with the ability to create these. Then we've got an open helper and an onCreate function that's getting called here, and executing our SQL that does our table creation. Finally, we're going to now add the words. So this opens up a raw resource, which is the definitions. So resource.raw.definitions, if I go to declaration on that, I can see where that's coming in from the resource designer.cs. And that's essentially populated by raw, which is class raw, and underneath it is definitions. So that's how that gets populated. Next, we're going to say using StreamReader, and then we're going to do some try-catch loop stuff, or some try-catch block stuff like you've seen before when Dr. Bresnaw was covering this. Basically, this is going to attempt to read in and trim the words that it's reading in and add those to the dictionary. So it's reading in line by line and calling add word on each one that it trims in. This does a string 0.trim and adds that to strings 1.trim and adds each word one after another. Add word is an interesting function. This is the one that I called in my my custom button with my commit button, like I showed you earlier. And basically what this does is it does initial values, and that gets all of the values from the database, and it does a put on it, and then it inserts it into this table. That's basically the entire database utility section of the dictionary. The dictionary provider is a searchable dictionary, is the namespace that we're going to use for it. Remember, namespaces are basically kind of similar to classes in a way. It's It's a global namespace, or it's a namespace, a shared namespace that classes can use in order to be able to reference each other with that name. And the name in this case is searchable dictionary. So this is going to be a content provider, and we're going to do a uniform resource identifier, and we're going to parse the authority, which in this case is searchable dictionary.dictionary provider. And this is going to actually be able to parse the dictionary that we're concerned about. Here's our query for our dictionary provider. Suggestions is a nice feature that's been added to this application. This basically allows us to see a list of suggestions as we're typing. So as I'm typing here, so for example, if I type A, okay, I get Abby, abide, abound, absence, absorb, etc. And that's all coming from a database query as well, from a dictionary database where we query the keywords and the definitions and everything else right there. Finally, we've got a search function as well, and a get word function. A couple of these things are basically just getting the type of whether it's a word or a suggestion. This is doing an insert, and this is doing an update. These are just override functions that are used as part of the content provider, which we've inherited from. Next, we've got searchable dictionary. This is the one that I edited. So searchable dictionary has the show results method in it. This is, if you download this example from the net, this is what you'll have to change. You'll have to basically take show results and modify it. You'll have to say word entered text equals this dot find view by ID text view, edit text 1, edit text 2, and A button. All of these are added from the main, where I've basically created an add word, which, as you can see, the add word text view for it is edit text 1, and then the definition is edit text 2, and the commit is A button. And so all of those are referenced back inside of searchable dictionary here, where you say resource.id, and this will always autocomplete for you. If you hit the dot, you'll hit edit text 1, for example, and edit text 2, and so on and so forth. I'm also referencing the button. Var gives me a local variable of that type, button, and then I modify this so I can call add word with whatever is entered into edit text 1 and edit text 2. So that's been modified there. I've added some extra text views up here as well that you would have to add. And I do encourage you to download the sample dictionary and give this a shot. It might as well do that as one last sort of experiment before you start doing your mashup app, which is kind of what I'm thinking of, is a mashup app for you guys to create. That should be doable with the amount of time that you've got left. We've got a handle intent here, which creates our new intent and our new activity and does our query. So remember, intents are basically like actions in a way. This is something that is going to be an activity that is started when something happens. And in this case, it's clicking on a search suggestion, and what we want that to do is launch an activity to show the word. And that activity is going to spawn up and show us the word that is in question. And I mentioned show results before. If there's no results, we're going to do this custom stuff that I've created. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and show the new word, or the word definition that we've called up. And that's about it for that one. Word activity is the final one. This is the one that's created when you initially search or initially find a word. In the onCreate, we're going to basically set the content view to the resource layout.word. That takes us to Word XML here, basically, which is our layout. And then we set it up. So we've got an options menu that's going to basically find our items, and we're going to be able to select the actual item itself. So if I hit Abby, for example, it's going to go down here, and now this is the selection that was chosen, and it's a noun with a monastery ruled by an abbot, is what an abbey is. So that is about it for the searchable dictionary. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the OpenGL example with you guys and go step by step over that and kind of show you what's going on with that. Also probably going to cover a little bit about general app basic mashup techniques for the project. And again, we are only having 2 videos this week, so that's kind of on purpose. We wanted this last week to be a little bit light in content so that you could get time to get your projects done. All right, I will talk to you later.